Welcome to episode one of Talking About Change. This episode focuses on the personal change of becoming a more confident public speaker. In this series, generally, I'd like to talk about an approach to thinking about change that can be used across all sorts of change, from personal changes such as overcoming anxiety to broader changes such as climate change or changes in the economy. But in this first episode, I'd like to share my own change from being a less than confident public speaker to becoming a more and more confident public speaker, which is, I'm still journeying along that road, but I feel like I've made a lot of progress in becoming a more confident public speaker. I think it's a hoped for change that many of us can relate to. In fact, they say that the fear of public speaking is one of the most common fears that people experience. And it was a key aspect of my own professional development as I advanced in my career. So it was a critical change for me professionally. One of the challenges of speaking is also one of its benefits. Speaking, unlike writing, is not fixed, or at least it should not feel fixed. Nothing is more boring than listening to someone read from a script, word for word, in a wooden, droning voice. We like speaking because it is spontaneous and immediate, not fixed but fluid. We are seeing the words take form in a living way from someone present before us who is birthing thoughts in real time. At least it feels that way, right? It can be very engaging to see and to hear, to experience. But then for the person producing the speech, what can be exciting for the audience is exactly what can cause fear for the speaker. You may think, for example, what if the right words don't come to me? What if my speech doesn't take a form that is clear and compelling? What if the recipients of my message don't construe the message in the way that I intended? The open ended, spontaneous, fluid nature of speech, while the source of its potency, its power to engage, is also what makes it uncertain. And it's that uncertainty that provokes the anxiety that people often feel about speaking. And it's also the public nature of public speaking that heightens this anxiety, which may be why public speaking is such a common fear. Being public, of course, means that you have an audience before you. The audience is there for a reason and has certain expectations for what you will say. You need to fulfill those expectations, right? So when you come before your audience, you feel the pressure of its anticipation. The audience members have their eyes fixed upon you, their ears are pricked up, and they want to receive a message from you that is compelling and relevant to them. Given that, it's no wonder public speaking can provoke fear and anxiety. So now you need to step back and take a deep breath and give yourself a little pep talk. You've got this. You can deliver the message you need to effectively. Now, there are certain things about the circumstances in which you are delivering the speech that you cannot change. Uh, the when and the where of the speech, the stated purpose of the speech, the audience that is invited and actually shows up for your speech. also change how you deliver the message. Delivering the message is part of staging the event also. You can be considering the flow of the speech, your tone and rhythm, and the way that you move and hold your body and the gestures that you use in front of the audience. You need to remember what is distinctive about speaking is that you are giving a live performance using your body and voice. The audience members should feel that they are witnessing ideas take shape in real time in your face-to-face presence before them. So there are actions that you can take to shape the circumstances under which you give the speech. You can spend time on preparing the speech, learning more about the audience and its expectations, and make sure that your message meets those expectations. You can also make sure that you know what key points to emphasize and reflect that in the flow and rhythm of your speech. You can rehearse the speech in front of a mirror to increase your confidence in being able to say what you most want to say, delivering your speech with the flow and rhythm that will engage your audience. You can also give careful consideration to how you want to present yourself. Ask yourself, what will I wear to make myself more credible as a messenger of this message? How will I hold myself to convey confidence in what I am saying? These are the actions that I can take to shape the circumstances in which I deliver the speech, and thereby reduce the uncertainties around the delivery of that speech, and then I'm going to end up being less anxious because of that preparation when I do actually face the audience. I must also consider the form that the speech needs to take as a situated and enacted event, as that living, dynamic form of performance. How much time do I have? Is it to be a short speech or a longer, more detailed presentation? Is it a formal speech, maybe even academic in tone? Or is it to be a more casual, informal speech where I can be conversational, using everyday language? Do I stand at a lectern or walk back and forth on a stage? How much interaction should I have with the audience? How much time do I have for discussion, for questions and answers at the conclusion of the speech? Answers to all of these questions will help me determine the form that the speech takes in its enactment. And of course, the answers to these questions provide me further information about the circumstances in which I am delivering the speech and the actions that I should take to prepare for the speech. So, now that I've played out the circumstances, actions, and form around the speech, I need to step back and consider what it is that I want to achieve with the speech and what the special qualities of speaking there are that I want to take advantage of. What does a speech afford that another mode of communication would not, such as a tweet or a YouTube video like this one? I must remind myself that I am using my live presence before the audience, my face-to-face performance in body and voice, to connect with the audience, to convey in a compelling way my message, so that I move the members of the audience. I'm moving them in their thinking, in their feeling, ultimately and hopefully in their action. If I am looking down at the lectern rather than looking at members of the audience, reading the speech dryly, word for word, or I'm rambling or saying things that don't feel relevant for them, I will lose my audience and not make that vital connection that creates the energy that I want to feel from an audience when I do connect with them. When I do make that connection, it can feel magical. I can sense the audience responding dynamically to my message. I am reaching them. I'll feel a flow as the words pour forth with passion and conviction. Connecting with my audience comes from connecting myself to why I care so passionately about what I am saying, the mission that I wish to fulfill. I may even feel like Martin Luther King Jr. delivering a speech. It may be electrifying. Now, of course, not every speech will be like this for me, but it should be what I aim for. And when I deeply connect with the message that I wish to convey, it will help me transcend my own seemingly petty fears around speaking and attach myself to that larger purpose for my speech. In this way, I have moved from being an uncertain, tentative public speaker to a dynamic, confident one. So, what was involved in this change? Let's reflect on this a little bit. I thought about what was special in the aliveness of speaking, of giving form to ideas in real time as a live event, giving shape to fluid, seemingly emergent thought before an audience. I reflected on how to shape the circumstances of the speech, crafting the message carefully, and fashioning how I present myself. I was also thinking about what actions to take to prepare for the speech. I also want to devote some thought to what form the speech should take to meet those expectations of the audience and work effectively within what I know are going to be the constraints of the setting for the speech. Finally, and I think this is the most important thing of all, I reaffirmed my passion for, my profound belief in the message that I wanted to convey in my speech to better ensure that I was making that desired connection to the audience. I take to heart the key point about becoming a more confident public speaker, and that is connecting more deeply and intensely with my own message will enable me in turn to connect with my audience in delivering that message. I will convey to my audience my passion. I'll spread a positive contagion. So, this is how I structure the inherently fluid nature of speaking, with the speech as a situated, enacted, and time-bound event, and with me as a speaker, an instrument for motivating my audience with my message. I'm on my way to becoming a more confident public speaker, achieving the very change that I aimed for. So, if you found this episode helpful in thinking about how to become a more confident public speaker, and you'd like to support me in developing more content related to discussing change in all its forms, head over to my page on patreon.com. That's patreon.com/talkingaboutchange. It's all lowercase and strung together. Patreon.com/talkingaboutchange, and become a patron. Thank you, and all the best.